at that. One noodle. Beautiful.
Yay!
Ta-da! On this episode of A Dash of Cumin, we're making two types of fresh ravioli. Using a ricotta filling base, we're adding spinach and mushrooms to create two different savory varieties of this versatile pasta. Come join us as we demonstrate the process of making the dough, rolling it out to the right thickness, adding the filling, and cooking it to perfection. Welcome to our kitchen.
Hi friends!
Buongiorno!
Today we are going to be making ravioli, and we have created two versions of stuffing. One is with whole milk, ricotta, and mushrooms that are baby bella mushrooms, and then another version is whole milk ricotta with spinach. We are using the crank on the Atlas to crank out the pasta and using some shapes. What are you doing?
I was just cranking it out. We gotta get physical, you know? So roll up your sleeves, let's do this.
So let's do this.
All right.
All right. We thought we would start with this ravioli recipe and then, pasta dough recipe, and then you can use that pasta dough recipe to really make any kind of pasta. Our star today is the Mercato Atlas 150, which is a pasta roller, and you'll see how we go about using the roller to make our pasta shapes. Thanks.
First step, we need to make the pasta. Dough. So make sure you get your flour, which is 10 ounces of AP flour.
Sure. So
The dough is actually an emulsification because you're adding the polylipids from the yolk, the oil from the olive oil, and ice cold water to make the dough. So to do this, we're going to start it in the food processor because it's a lot easier to do it and let the machine do most of the work. Then we're going to knead it by hand for a few minutes and then just let it rest while we form the sauce and everything else, the filling in.
So as you know, oil and water don't mix, and so anytime you do need to get them together and have how much of this consistency, it's always good to use some kind of force or some kind of pressure, because you're exactly just breaking bonds and trying to get those bonds to align together.
All right, so we're going to crack 2 eggs here into our bowl, and we're going to actually whisk these up a little bit ahead of time because we don't want to just put them in whole with the flour. Thank you, offhand hand.
What?
It's the offhand hand.
Okay.
Or off-screen hand.
Yeah.
So we're going to just whisk these up real quick, make sure the yolks are all separated and good and whatnot.
We love these Blackbird Farms co-op eggs. They come from Central Virginia. They get delivered to our house.
They're farm fresh.
Week, and they're so delicious.
Shout out to Sylvan Aqua Farms, or Blackbird Farms, formerly known as,
Blackbird is their name.
Yeah. They're great, they're local. Give them a shot, check out their Instagram page. It's a lot of fun. Okay, we're going to add this into our mixture here. And we can actually put the wet and dry ingredients together, because normally if you made this on the countertop, you'd make a little flour volcano, and then you crack the eggs into the volcano crater and then kind of mix them up with a fork. That's also helpful if you're making gnocchi as well. Gnocchi. And then we're going to add the oil, 1 teaspoon of olive oil, nice extra virgin olive oil. And then we're going to cap off the food processor and get some very cold, ice cold, chilled water. Thank you again. All right. Now we're going to turn this on. It's going to get a little loud here, but we have our new handy dandy microphone, so you might be able to hear it through the noise. We're going to start pulsing this up a little bit, and we're going to gently put in a little bit of ice cold water as we go. Trickle it in. And just as you start to see that dough pulling from the sides, you're going to stop it for a second. All right. Now that we've stopped this and the dough has kind of begun to pull to the sides, that's your cue to stop pouring water in immediately. Otherwise, you're going to get soggy dough. Take this out. Be very careful of the blade. And now you're going to get a little bit of flour on the surface of your countertop here because you're going to roll this out a little bit. All right. So we're going to rub this in a little bit of, we can edit that out. We're going to rub this in a little bit of flour here. Kind of get this going a little bit. And the whole reason we want to do this is to form gluten.
Do you need water?
Nope, we will probably have just enough in here. You can see how it's kind of sticking to my hands right now. Not enough flour. Need a little bit more. So that's your key.
It's a delicate balance between having your flour too sticky and having your flour too wet.
Yep.
So we're trying to get that optimal balance of the amount of gluten in the dough, because that's what's going to lead to the structure of the pasta.
Mm-hmm. As you can see now, my hands are getting a little bit cleaner, with a little more flour in there. You can start to see that the dough is becoming a little elastic. My hands are actually pretty clean right now. And
it's no longer sticking.
If you push it, it kind of bounces back.
Okay.
All right. So
what's our next
for the
step?
Camera. Next step is you're going to wrap this up.
Right.
So we need some plastic wrap. We're going to let it sit to the side. Don't touch it. Tell an adult. And then go and start making the
How
ricotta.
long do you think we need to rest it?
Alton Brown says about an hour minimum. So by the use of TV magic, we'll let it sit for an hour and then we'll roll it out.
All right.
All right. See you in about an hour.
So we're gonna start by making our filling while we're letting the pasta dough rest. So we grated some Parmesan cheese. That's gonna go in. This is about a half of a cup, finely grated, along with 16 ounces of whole milk ricotta cheese. Why do we use whole milk?
So we use whole milk because the richness of the ricotta cheese gives it a nice, smooth, silky mouthfeel, and it just tastes better with the other ingredients since we're not using meats or other types of fats in our pasta. Besides that, a little bit of oil, we want to have something that's a little bit more enriching. Also, the Parmesan cheese is crucial to the not only the mouthfeel and the flavor of the filling, but it acts as a dry, hard cheese. It absorbs excess moisture out of that ricotta, and you're going to see in a second why we also remove moisture from our other wet ingredients like our vegetables here, the mushrooms and the spinach. Because if you have too much water, water creates steam, steam creates pressure, it bursts your ravioli, and you're going to have filling all in your pasta water. Not a good thing.
Not good.
So go ahead, honey, put some black pepper in that mixture. This is going to be our base mixture. We're going to just have it all together here. So we're going to fold in the mushrooms in one part, and we're going to fold in the spinach in another part. We're making two different fillings, but with the same base. While she's mixing the ricotta mixture, I'm going to squeeze out some of the excess liquid from our spinach. Now for this, we took about a packet and a half of spinach, which is approximately
8 ounces.
8 ounces or so. And we cooked it down on the stove. Then we took this out, let it cool so it doesn't burn your hands. And you can take a handful of it out at a time. And then you're just going to kind of squeeze it over top of something that can catch the juice. And again, the reason for this, as we stated before, is just to get rid of a lot of the excess water. And you also want to do this, like say you want to make an omelet and you want to put spinach in the omelet, squeeze out the water from your wilted spinach, because otherwise you're going to have a really soggy omelet. That's not good either. You'll see that we'll probably get a couple ounces of water coming out of this thing.
You'll start with like this much spinach.
Yeah.
And then just end up with this much spinach once the water's out. And mushrooms are also just chopped finely, about 12 ounces of baby Bella mushrooms. And then we sauteed them for about 40 minutes on low heat just to really get all that extra water out. Let's get that in there. Mushrooms are mixed.
You know, I'm going to do one more fancy smancy thing with this, and we're going to chop it up a little bit finer because these were whole leaf spinach, and they'll kind of be a little stringy when you put them in the ricotta.
Oh, that's a good point.
And here we are doing it all at the same time.
He has amazing knife skills, I think.
Oh, knife skills. Real quick on this.
One day I will learn.
So pro tip with this, and you probably saw this from Gordon Ramsay, but I won't do it with as much snark or cheekiness. Remember the 3 fingers? So we're doing Italian, right? So chef's kiss. What is the chef's kiss? It's 3 fingers. Also the sign of the cross. But you're going to take your middle finger, index finger, and thumb, and you're going to let that middle finger be your guide. The knife is only going to go up and down across that knuckle. It will never cut into your fingertips, and you'll never lose a nib of your fingers while you're cutting if you keep that. No matter what you're holding on to, something flat or firm, or in this case, almost like a chiffonade, you're just going to kind of ball it together.
What's a chiffonade?
That's when you wrap a bunch of herbs together in like a small little, like you're rolling something. No. And then you're going to...
No!
We don't condone illegal drug use.
No.
But you do you, DC.
Stop.
So there we go.
Now we're good.
Let's go ahead and put this in.
All done?
Oh, that was fast. Beautiful, honey.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we're ready now to roll out this dough.
The side.
Okay, while we let the ricotta filling rest in the fridge, now we're going to roll out the pasta dough.
So now that the dough has rested about an hour, we're going to cut it into fourths, and that helps us with running it and cranking it through the machine. You start with a setting of 0, and you just basically crank, and it'll go through. And then what we're trying to go for is a thinness at a level of 6. So
at some point in time, you're going to maybe need a second pair of hands. So I'm on standby as this thing gets a little bit thinner as you go. And don't worry if it doesn't look like a perfect rectangle yet. You're just getting it to the thickness and thinness that you want. Beautiful. 5.
push it in. There we go.
Oh, look at that. One noodle. Beautiful.
Yay!
Ta-da! All right.
So we took the 4 quarters and now we have 4 strips.
Ta-da!
We are going to scoop out the spinach and cheese mixture and place them in the center of the pasta sheet. And then we will use this beautiful tool to get that crimping effect and shave off the extras. And then we can use those extras and pull them all together again and even make more sheets of pasta dough to make more ravioli. I think the other pro tip is that I think smaller raviolis are better. It's less likely for them to burst open in the pasta water.
Yes, and we're gonna just fold this over top. It's also important to make sure your surface is properly floured. You'll see that these noodles almost have a little whitish seam to them because we put a lot of flour on this so they don't stick to each other. Now I'm gonna take this top sheet, just put it right over top of like a little blanket, just chuck them into bed. So cute. Some people also like to use a little bit of water on their fingers, and we'll do that toward the end here once we just kind of get the crimping down on all the sides. We're just making sure that we have
And the water
no
just helps
air
with
bubbles.
sealing the ravioli pockets.
You got it. Now, while Christine cuts out the rest of these, I'm going to take a tea cloth and flour it a little bit so that we can put these ravioli on something that is even more of a non-stick surface, and then they don't stick to each other as we start building out more of them. And then right before we put them into the water, we'll take them off and plop them in a couple at a time. Okay, got our tea cloth. Just put it underneath the little cookie sheet. Little light drizzle of flour on top of it. This is also great if you're making tagliatelle, fettuccine, babada bibita, whatever you want to do.
Any kind of pasta.
Any type of pasta. This just keeps it from sticking. Don't rub it around too much. You can also set your little pasta noodle scraps on the side if you want to, so they don't do anything.
All right, let's get the rest of these finished and come back.
All right.
All right, we have finished stuffing. We've made out with about 15 mushroom raviolis and 15 spinach raviolis.
We're going to put them in boiling water for about 3 or 4 minutes at a time. Don't dump them all in at once, but also make sure that your water is at a nice boiling, not too rapid boil, but not too low boil. It takes a little bit of adjustment. Okay, pro tip here. As you can see, the water is at a nice gentle boil, and we're going to plop in that ravioli one at a time, very gently. And if one of them has a little bit of flour on it, no big deal. You can also brush it off or put it in the water. Just be sure that when the water comes back up to a more vigorous boil, you keep that heat a little lower, because if it's too violent, it might actually burst out your filling. Not a good idea. Well, we're back.
We're back, and we grated some cheese. We're ready to eat.
So good. And we got a little bit of olive oil on there. And as we took the pasta out of the pasta boiler, boiling water, mission quest thing.
Boiling water.
Boiling water.
Yeah.
We left a little bit of that hot water in a little bowl as we were straining them out so they wouldn't stick together.
Yeah, and a little bit of olive oil also helps to prevent the sticking. So let's try.
Let's dig in. I'll just cut this in half.
So you can see it inside, yeah. So this
is
that's a mushroom.
This is a mushroom.
And then here's what it looks like on the inside
Look at that mushroom.
of a spinach.
Oh, that was spectacular.
So good.
Wow.
So good. I'm trying
You try that.
You try the spinach.
The ricotta
So good.
melts. Oh, the Parmesan cheese.
Yes.
Got a little bit of saltiness. Oh, but the noodles themselves are so soft.
And it just tastes very fresh.
Yes.
There you have it.
There you have it, guys.
Bon
So,
appetit.
we're going to keep eating this. This is really good. We wish you were here.
Yeah. So for the day, man.
Oh,